Okay. So after we complete the chapter, then we will go on and recite verse number 8. And then you'll see in today's discussion why that one is so important. Okay.
Read it.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, chapter number 12. Devotional service. And the question is devotion or discipline, which is the way that is recommended. So, yeah, that's fine. So Arjuna starts this with the question. Some people link to your personal form. You can see Krishna's personal form here. Through constant love, the supreme form of worship. Others link to your formless, unchanging aspect. Which of the two expresses a higher understanding of yoga? Because this is also a battle, philosophical battle that's been going on for ages. And some people say, no, the impersonal aspect is higher, and the form of the Lord is a lower form, lower aspect. So now Arjuna just asks it straightforward, and this is explicitly how he asks it. Krishna says, in my opinion, the higher understanding of yoga is expressed by those whose minds are enwrapped in me and always adore me with all their heart's conviction. So he's saying me as a person. What about the others? You know, the others who are into the impersonal path. So he's saying they also achieve me. They scrupulously curtail their sensuality, develop absolute neutrality towards everyone and everything, and work only for the benefit of others. Thus, they thoroughly worship my formless, undefined, unchanging, all-pervading, incomprehensible, innermost, and unwaveringly fixed aspect. So he's not saying that they are condemned. No, no, no. If you actually worship Krishna's formless aspect, you can also achieve Krishna's formless aspect. You can achieve that. It's possible. So in that sense, Krishna is saying they achieve me. But in answer to Arjuna's first question, which is better, he says the one who worships me personally is better. So then Arjuna asks, why do you call this one better? Why do you, if they both attain you, why do you differentiate one as better than the other? So Krishna explains, it is very difficult. That's the point. The reason is because it is very difficult to enwrap your mind in something undefined, something that has no form. We can't even fathom it. It is only with great difficulty that an embodied soul can attain the goal by that abstract path. See? So first of all, it's very, very difficult. And if you're embodied, it's that much more difficult because you see everything in terms of the body, and everything we deal with has a form. So Krishna says that one is more difficult. So Arjuna says, okay, if that's more difficult, what is it that makes the devotional path so much easier? Why is the path of devotion easier? And Krishna is saying the main reason is mostly because I personally reciprocate with the effort. He's contrasting with the impersonal path. The impersonal path, you just follow discipline and rigor, and Krishna doesn't get personally involved. You just follow the rules and you'll attain. But if you use the devotional path, Krishna actually personally comes into that life. He reciprocates. I personally reciprocate with the effort. My devotees dedicate all their efforts to me, giving up everything else and making me the ultimate goal. They meditate upon me without deviation or distraction. See how Krishna becomes a friend of his devotee here. So how can I not personally respond? See, basically, if you be personal to me, I'll be personal to you. That's his point. When someone embraces me with their heart and mind, I personally rescue them from the endless waves of death's ocean very quickly. Okay, so it sounds like that's the way I want to do, anybody should go. So he says, okay, how should I follow this path of devotion? See, Arjuna didn't ask, how shall I follow the path of discipline and impersonal path? He said, okay, this definitely a better one. So how should I follow this path of devotion? And this is the verse that we're supposed to memorize. This is the highest aspect of Krishna consciousness. What is it? Bless you.
Excuse me.
This is the topmost. It's quite simple. Embrace me fully with all your emotions and intellect. Then without a doubt, you will live in me forever. Now this sounds very simple, okay? But actually, this is the highest. And actually it's one of the most, what you call, durlabh or hard to reach platforms. Because to be fully absorbed in Krishna with all our emotions and all our intelligence and our mind, completely living in him, all the time, is very difficult for those of us who have chosen to try to find happiness in matter. Krishna is not talking about balance over here. He's saying 100% focus on me. Forget about everything else. Ananya, no other thought, no other emotion. Every emotion that you have is tied to me. Everything you think intellectually is tied to me personally. This is the absolute highest form of devotion. Then you live in me forever. Now Arjuna recognizes this is the highest, and he recognizes the difficulty of this platform. It's not something that anybody can just jump and accomplish. So then, this 12th chapter is the one that gives us options. This is the highest, and if you can't do this, then do the next one, next second highest. So it's very good, because those of us who think the highest is the only way to go, it's either all or nothing. 12th chapter explains it's not all or nothing. If you can't do this, this is the next best, like that, okay? So listen carefully, what are the different options if we cannot live on this highest? Of course, we should aspire for this highest platform and move toward it. But if we cannot live on that platform right away, then let us find our place on that ladder that Krishna is offering here. So Arjuna asks, what if I cannot always keep my thoughts and emotions on you? So if your heart will not naturally affix to me, then practice doing it deliberately. This will increase your natural desire for me. You see, so now he's giving the next best. This is a practice of regulative bhakti yoga. See, the highest platform is when you're fully absorbed in your consciousness, knowing fully well your relationship with Krishna, and your emotions are flowing spontaneously based on that complete memory and remembrance and understanding of your relationship with Krishna. But because we have forgotten, our memory is very badly eroded of our relationship with Krishna. Our knowledge of our relationship with Krishna is also very weak. So the practice of bhakti yoga, this Vaidhi bhakti, or this regulative principles of bhakti yoga that Krishna describes here, that will revive our memory. It is kind of like if someone has suffered from amnesia. They're in their house, the family is taking care of him, he's lost his memory. He doesn't even remember, this is my wife, this is my father, this is my mother, this is my brother, this is my children. He can't remember. He knows these people are there in the house, but he can't remember. So he cannot act on that platform just as yet. So what they do is, they show him old photographs. They take him to places where they used to have fun together. Then they make him, you do things that remind you of that relationship. And gradually, that's one of the therapies. And gradually, those connections start getting made, and the old memories sometimes do come back in certain cases of amnesia. So this Vaidhi Bhakti Yoga is actually that sort of therapy where we kind of force ourselves to chant Krishna's name. We may not have the taste in the beginning, but the name itself is purifying. It cures, it's a therapy. It cures our forgetfulness of a relationship. And then after we have been cured, it's not that we stop doing it. We do it more because we enjoy it now. We do it out of love, singing the name of our beloved. It's a natural thing to do. But even when it's unnatural because we have forgotten, we still do it to kind of revive that. So he says, do this practice, do it deliberately. And this will increase your natural desire for me. So making preparations, offering them with love, offering arati, singing his glories, sharing his philosophy with others. That also revives our own memories. So this is part of that Bhakti Yoga in a Vaidhi platform. Vaidhi meaning the deliberate practice. Okay, so that's the second level. Arjuna says, what if I lack the discipline to fully apply myself to even this sort of Vaidhi Bhakti, this sort of structured Bhakti process? Okay, if you cannot do that, if you cannot practice fixing your heart and mind upon me, then fix your deeds upon me. So now this is a third level down. Okay, can't do all that thing of bhakti. I'm not able to do 24 hours bhakti yoga, giving up my job and all that. Keep your job. Don't give up your job. Fix your deeds on me, the fruits of your labor. By working in my service, you'll advance toward fixing your heart and mind on me. So if, no matter whether you're Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, it doesn't matter which category of work that you do, but if you can absorb your consciousness while working and gradually bring yourself up to the second platform of more and more Vaidhi Bhakti, you shift your balance now towards Krishna. You see, you're still working. You need to work. Krishna, remember chapter 2, chapter 3, we talked about the importance of working, right? You still work, but then you start gradually transitioning your consciousness toward Krishna. Because no matter what work you do, you can always offer the fruits to Krishna. And while you're working, you can focus on the importance of moving towards Krishna, right? So Arjuna asks, what if I can't even do that? What if I cannot always dedicate myself to doing your deeds? And I'm working, but what if I can't even bring myself to work for you? Then what? Then do your own deeds, fine. Don't work for me, but give away all the rewards. Don't just, because when you do some work, you will get some fruit. Some fruit you will get. Those are the rewards. So learn to give it away. You give it to poor people, you give it to the Red Cross, you give it to some charitable cause. Then you have to be Krishna conscious. Just something. Why? Because this will make you more selfless and self-satisfied. Basically, to make progress in Krishna consciousness, you do need to cultivate a sense of selflessness. And if we can't give our fruits of our labor to Krishna, then at least start getting used to giving away fruits, first of all. First, let's uproot the selfishness. Take it out, become selfless. It will make you more selfless and self-satisfied and improves your ability to follow the more direct paths of devotion I just mentioned. So this will help your chances of developing taste for those three higher paths. So this is the fourth lowest path, you see. So at least do this. Okay, but what if I'm unwilling to entirely give up the hard-earned fruits of my labor? Then you need to think. If you can't even do that, then you really need to sit down and study and think deeply, meditate on these points. You need to improve your philosophical understanding of how the world works, what things are about. You can't just be living like an animal selfishly. So when you have better knowledge, meditate upon it deeply. Think. Then again, strive and try to give away all the fruits of your labor, for doing so brings inner peace. So you have to take out some time and reflect. Otherwise, you'll just be lost in selfish behavior and slide down more into animal kingdom. Selfishness is never good for anybody who wants to make progress for the future lives. So sit down and think. Okay, so that's fine. So now I think Arjuna got the full spectrum. So he's going to change the line of questioning. What are the qualities of a person who progresses on the path that you have outlined here? What are the kind of things that we'll see in that kind of person? See, Arjuna always asks, what is that path? What is the process? And then he wants to know how to gauge the efficacy of that progress by seeing what are the qualities. If you remember, even in the second chapter, he asked about what is Sthita Pragya, what are the qualities? So it's a very smart line of questioning Arjuna. So what are the qualities of a person who progresses in the path? So Krishna says, if you make progress and you become a bhakta, what will happen? These are your qualities. This is how you measure your progress. You will never feel hatred towards anyone. Instead, you'll always feel very friendly and compassionate. You will feel neither possessive nor important. Because genuine humility comes, right? You won't feel possessive that, okay, this is mine, or you're possessive of a person. Neither do you feel that I'm such an important guy. No. And being patient and looking upon pleasure and pain with an equal eye, always satisfied by a constant link to the divine. So remember that point where Krishna has said many times in the past, the juice of life, the joy, the happiness comes from within. The connection of soul to the super soul, to Krishna. When our consciousness is deeply connected with Krishna. That satisfaction cannot be compared to any sort of pleasures in the world. And so once you've tasted that satisfaction, you'll always seek that again and again, and you'll find satisfaction more and more in it. That is one of the qualities. You will be self-disciplined and determined. Why? Because you have tasted the higher taste. So then you don't need much effort to discipline yourself. The determination is very strong. Your emotions and thoughts will be enwrapped in me. It's not that the person becomes emotionless. No. But the emotions flow, of all varieties of emotions flow, but only in relation to Krishna. You will be in love with me, and I will be in love with you. It's not a one-way street, by the way, the Bhakti Yoga. Krishna reciprocates our love. He says it right here, that you will develop your love for me, and I will express my love for you also. And you will feel me expressing my love for you when you make progress on this path. You will experience it. So this is the quality of a person who has made progress substantially in Krishna consciousness in the Bhakti Yoga process. Okay, so Arjuna wants to know a little bit more. That out of these qualities, Krishna, that you've listed, which one do you find most attractive? And Krishna mentions here, I'm very attracted to anyone who never troubles others or feels troubled by them. Because that's the nature of the world, right? Either we're troubling other people or we feel that they're troubling us. But Krishna says, if someone who really is not moved by what others do to them, and they don't bother other people, unmotivated by the urges of thrills, desperations, and fears, because they have become truly detached from the world, truly detached from attachment of matter, attachment to name, fame, glory, honor, dishonor. These things become utterly insignificant. This kind of person, this quality I find very attractive, Krishna says. They're not desperate for anything. They're not afraid of anything. Why should they be afraid? They know they're eternal. They know they cannot be destroyed. They know that I'm there for them. They know that I'll always maintain them. And I'm exchanging love with them all the time. What more do they want? What fear do they have? Death is nothing. Death is in fact a gateway to come to my abode. Other than death, what other fear is there? They have no care for honor or dishonor anyway. They're not thrilled by these silly ups and downs of the world. Why would they be desperate? That is the kind of quality that I find attractive, Krishna says. And then he goes on, he says, I am most attracted to my devotee, who is a very neutral, impartial, pure, and expertly balanced person, who for my sake completely gives up all other aspirations and the disturbances they cause. Anyone who completely gives up everything desirable and undesirable for the sake of divine love, never lamenting and hating an undesirable situation, and never hungering and yearning for a desirable one. Oh, I find that person so attractive. So these are qualities of someone who has genuinely become detached. Completely give up things that, are comforts and discomforts become insignificant. And they don't lament or hate. Lament that, oh, I had that thing, now it's lost. I had that other, maybe I had that wealth, or I had that person and they went away. Or I had that the resource and it's lost. I had that home, now it's gone. I had a massive palace and I had so many companions and so much adoration, adoring fans, and now they hate me. They don't care for these kind of things, people who have made genuine progress. So Krishna says, this is a quality that I really like. And he goes on to say that I'm very attracted to anyone who, out of firm dedication to divine love, equally renounces the embrace of friends and enemies, honor and dishonor, hot and cold, pleasure and misery. They are equally silent in the face of insult or praise, because they are fully self-satisfied in any situation. They do not even require a roof over their heads. See, so he's saying they're so detached. This is very, very rare, but there are devotees who have these qualities, but they're very rare. So he's saying, this is a quality I'm looking for. I mean, my standards are pretty high. You asked me the question, what I like most? This is what I like most. That they have genuinely detached themselves completely from within. Can you imagine being in such a state of pure consciousness that if someone insults you or your family members, they completely insult you in your face, or they praise you like anything, and some of it is genuine praise, and your response to both of them is equal, like you're not shaken by either one of them. There's a very, very high standard of detachment. Doesn't mean you become stone cold like a rock, but that person will just smile at both of them. Someone insults them, they'll smile, knowing that the soul is not touched by it. Someone praises them to high heavens, they'll also just smile and accept it, knowing that they're just praising me because they see something or whatever that may be. But whatever good they see in me is Krishna's gift. It's not mine. It's not mine to claim that praise. And if they're highlighting how bad I am, well, that's just the reality. I am a bad person. It's just a matter of my conditioned state. No one is perfect. It's okay. Smile. And if they're lying or they're telling the truth, it doesn't really matter either. Because what others think of me, if I'm a pure devotee, it doesn't matter what others think of me. So the point Krishna is saying is that that behavior is very pure. So they don't hurt other people. They're not enemies to anybody. But at the same time, when people think they're enemies or treat them roughly or badly, they're not affected. So this is a very high standard of detachment, but Krishna is describing it very nicely here. Arjuna prods even more. Okay, so you've listed a whole bunch of these beautifully attractive qualities. Which do you find the most irresistible? And Krishna says, the most irresistibly attractive thing is when a person completely pours their heart and soul into the blissful and immortal principle that I am the highest object of love and devotion. This is the most irresistibly attractive thing. So remember Krishna in verse number 8, he says that's the highest. He's basically reiterating this over here in the last verse. That this, what I find most irresistibly attractive, is that the person fully puts their complete consciousness in the bliss, knowing that I and only I, Krishna, is the highest object of love and devotion. And this point is so important that Krishna himself personally comes and shows us how to do it as a devotee. He takes an incarnation of a devotee to show us that it's doable and how exactly to do it. And so these two pictures are depicting that incarnation of the Lord. So this is Gauranga and Nitai worshipping Radha Krishna, and this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu absorbing his mind in love and service of Krishna, thoughts of Krishna. It's Krishna himself. It's actually Radha and Krishna combined to form Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he comes to show us that this is how you pour your heart and soul into this blissful principle. And it is blissful. It's not rough. It is not ghastly. It is not unreasonably painful or so much austere that it's undoable, that only a handful of people can do it. No. It is blissful and joyfully performed. How? You chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a very beautiful mantra. You chant it on japa, you sing it by yourself, you sing it with others, you sing it with musical instruments, you dance to it, and then you read some beautiful stories, pastimes of Krishna. They're very sweet. Discuss them, share them with others, promote the festivals of the Lord, celebrate these festivals, which are very colorful and beautiful. And when you're tired, you take some rest and you take some prasadam, which prasadam also, accepting prasadam is a form of making spiritual progress. So it is blissful from the beginning to the end. We just have to do it. So Krishna is saying, if someone just dives into this process, that is very irresistibly attractive to me, even more than some of those detachment things that I talked about. Because the process itself is so purifying and blissful that the detachment that he talks about happens as a natural byproduct. The detachment from honor, dishonor, detachment from pleasure, displeasure, all those, the neutrality toward matter, that develops as a natural outcome, byproduct of the process. So we shouldn't feel dejected that, I don't have that level of detachment, so maybe I cannot be a devotee. No, we just need to focus on this aspect, that let's pour our emotions, our heart, our soul, our consciousness into the process that will bring Krishna into our focus, into the forefront of our mind and our intelligence and our chitta, the consciousness. And that's what it's all about. So that is the conclusion of chapter 12. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any points to comment or question, discussion, please feel free to share.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
One point where you said, where Krishna says, the last level, the second last level rather, I think, is where if you cannot do anything, but at least the fruits of your labor, you donate it to other people. So, I mean, I just guess that maybe most of us try to do a small part of that because, like how he says, how Krishna says, it inculcates selflessness and all of that. But does he really mean all of it? Like, because the word was all the, like all the, so then so what we donate, like a part of it is not what it is.
You can start with the part.
How can you do all of it though? Seriously, just like practically.
Yeah, it is doable by giving yourself to a cause. It's a very high standard that Krishna is setting, even of selfless donation. If I decide to give it, well, first of all, there's different ways to look at it. All of it means you don't save anything for yourself. You don't keep savings. You spend whatever you need to maintain your household and eat and this and that. And then suppose, yeah, suppose 50% of your income you need for your monthly expenses, right? The other 50 you give it. Basically, you don't keep anything. That's the point.
How is it possible?
No, you don't keep anything. Basically, it's the standard of detachment that comes from that trust, that month to month, or whatever it may be. Krishna is saying that learn to give away. See, learn to give away. So learn to become selfless. You don't have to give it to my cause directly. Of course, better you give it to my cause, because then I'm very clear in consciousness, and then you can gradually build on it. That's way higher than giving away to mundane cause. But if you can't, for some reason, even wrap your mind around giving to my cause, that's fine. Get used to giving to a mundane cause also. Just get used to giving, and you'll develop selflessness. Then that might take you, that will encourage you to think higher. You see, think higher, become selfless. You'll get a taste for being selfless. And then you'll realize that maybe I should give it to Krishna also some. So more we bring Krishna in the picture, the more we can... See, remember the point, Arjuna, if you look at the Arjuna's line of questioning, right? He says, if I can't do A, then what can I do? So he knows A is the highest. He knows that is the goal. So it is no point giving away to mundane causes if A is not your goal. Then it has no value. You have to at least have that goal, right? It's like saying that I want to bench press 250 pounds, right? Okay, so start. Yes, 250 pounds. I can't. What if I can't do it? Then do 200 pounds. Okay, try. I can't do that one. Do 5 pounds. But you have to start somewhere. But knowing that 250 pounds is your goal. So these are the different steps. That's all. So the first step is that if you can't do even giving a little bit to my cause, then give to some cause. And if you give 100% or without saving, then it'll shake you enough to jump to the next level. But for those of us who come across this Krishna conscious philosophy, and we are fortunate enough to reflect deeply and recognize that Krishna should be in the center no matter what. So then we can go at least straight away to the third or the second, straight away. First one is very difficult, to give right away, completely everything. For most people, it is very difficult. Some people do. Some people do jump right into it when they discover it, because there's a lot of sanskaras from previous lives and all that they've already done a lot of that sacrificing and cultivation in past lives. So in this life, you can see they just take it up right away. They can give up everything, and 100% of the time, energy is spent just for Krishna consciousness. And that is our goal too. You know, that, and it's possible to be at that higher stage and still be in the household life. It doesn't need to give up household life. It's a matter of consciousness. Everything you do if it's saturated with the consciousness of Krishna. Because Arjuna was a householder, and Draupadi is a householder. I mean, they're 100% pure devotees. So it's possible to be that consciousness. It's a matter of levels of consciousness. Now, the advancement of that person is measured by the qualities that Krishna mentioned. You see, that's a litmus test. So in this 12th chapter, we see the levels, and we also see the gauge, how we can gauge our progress in those levels.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. This is as we move along, the concept will become stronger and more subtle, more abstract, but more powerful. You'll see how it works. Yes, Soham Prabhu.
So I have a question about, qualities particularly. And this is, I know, something that I struggle with, right? And I think most people struggle with it. So, you have a situation where somebody does something to you. They lied to you, they hurt you, and then you feel angry, right? Because you were hurt. But how do you actually get to this point where you're neutral, you don't feel any hatred, you don't ever feel any anger towards somebody, and yet you're supposed to be compassionate towards them? How do you manage to do that while having a thought saying, well, they did something wrong and maybe I need to fight for what is right? How do you reach that level?
Yes. Okay. So it's a good question. Okay, so Priya has to leave. Priya, Haribo, we'll see you next time. So the qualities of, say, anger, right? And this goes back, this is a good question, because there are many aspects to this. It's not as straightforward as it sounds. And I think you brought up that how, especially if someone is being unfair, someone's being unjust, isn't, for example, Arjuna fighting for justice? I mean, that's a sort of thing. He's actually in the middle of a fight. He's the one who doesn't want to fight. Krishna's telling him you should fight. I mean, what's going on? If you're supposed to be neutral and everything, why is he telling him to fight? right? I mean, this is justice you have to fight for. He took my land. I mean, you should be angry, right? Krishna is telling you should be angry. They took your land. Fight. So how is that? How do you align that with this message that you should not be attached and all that, right? He should have just encouraged Arjuna. Yeah, you want to live in the forest? It's okay, you go. He didn't. So there's different perspectives on this point. So what Krishna is mentioning in this chapter is about detachment, that you are not meant to be applying your emotions of anger and things like that for selfish reasons. That is a key point. Your fight for justice will require anger. Anger is something that can be used for a selfless reason. Fighting requires anger. Getting that jussa. It's important. It's not, you can't be cool-headed and pull an arrow like that. You need some coolness, but some jussa has to also be there. Some passion has to be there. So anger can be used in the service of God and in the service of the cause of dharma or justice. And Arjuna's dharma was to fight for justice as a Kshatriya. So anger can be used there. If someone is being mistreated, and Arjuna as a king or a Kshatriya comes to their aid and chastises them and punishes them, there is an anger that is properly applied. Okay, so the main point to understand from that perspective is that these emotions can be used for your dharma. Okay, but if you use them for selfish reasons, so what Krishna is saying is that there's neutrality to pleasure, displeasure, honor, dishonor. Their personal honor, dishonor is not important for a person who's very advanced in Krishna consciousness. Person don't feel insulted. And we can give a very simple example. When we're in kindergarten, I don't know, some kindergarten kid, I remember when I was in kindergarten, I was a young kid, I was a very angry kid. I was getting angry about the smallest things. But then as we get older, we go to second grade, third grade, fifth grade, we realize that, this thing I was so angry about, that thing is so childish. We get angry. We get so emotional. But then as you grow out of it, you're like, why was I angry about just that cereal, I remember very specifically that I like to eat this cereal, Weetabix, Weetabix, you get in Canada, right? I said cereal, Weetabix, and I used to like to put some sugar on it, and I used to pour some milk around it in the bowl, and I had a perfect way of doing it. I'm talking, first grade, right? And once my mom poured the milk right on top, and I was so angry at her. You washed away all the sugar, completely gone. I remember I was like seething with anger. Like, Mom, you have no idea. And for like half an hour, I was angry. No, but I was in first grade. Little kids, they get angry. I still remember it. And then when I was in fourth grade, like, why on earth am I so angry? Because it's a matter of maturity. We realize it's inconsequential, so insignificant. Like, for such a small thing, why get angry, right? So then in Krishna conscious progress also, because we gain such a high elevation of perspective on how utterly inconsequential this one lifetime is. These little things, this guy told me this guy told me that. We get a much higher, more mature perspective. That this is just one flash, this lifetime, just one flash in billions and billions of flashes. What does it matter? Whether I lost this or lost that. Why should I shake my heart and emotion over it? Rather, I allow my consciousness to flow purely and focus on the Lord and my eternal relationship with the Lord. So that is the perspective. Now, as part of serving the Lord, and the Lord encourages us and wants us to also work in the world and set a good example to work in our sphere and preserve dharma. So in that sense, we can use anger to serve the Lord. Hanumanji burnt down Lanka in a fit of anger, but that was glorified because that's using anger in serving the Lord. So there is a place for these emotions. And as we progress in Krishna consciousness, we can apply them and still be detached from actually being shaken by them. It's a very high standard, but you understand my point of kind of maturity that comes with seeing the perspective and the relative importance of what we should invest our emotions in and what we should allow to be shaken by. So that is the point of this. Just want to give perspective. Very good question. Thank you. Minash Prabhu, go ahead.
Yep. Prabhu, in the purport between 12.7 and 12.8, there is a last verse of Bhagavad Gita which is mentioned. And there he mentions that this is the highest state to achieve perfection. And then there is verse 12.8 mentioned, which in a sense is saying the same thing in a different manner. So what would be the rationalization of mentioning both the things together?
So in the purport to 12.7, it's giving a transition. It's giving a transition that this is what the point is going to come up next, right? So if we go to 12.7, right, what does Prabhupada say in the purport? He
I mean,
said,
in the last paragraph where he mentioned that this is the last verse of Gita chapter 18.
yeah, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. So what Prabhupada is explaining, okay, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, that there are many different kinds of what we call dharmic duties. You see? So the verse itself on 12.7, and so you can say 12.6 and 7, he says, those who worship me, giving up their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotion service, always meditating on me, for them I'm swift deliverer. So I save them from the ocean of death, birth and death, right? So the point over here is that a person who has given up all these other different titles and labels, of different dharmas, they become insignificant. Even these different dharmas, even while doing it, but he has become so detached from them. His main goal and his consciousness is to serve Krishna and surrender to Krishna. So basically, then what happens? Krishna promises that I personally come and take care of you. That is the point in this verse, 12.6 and 12.7. And this same point is made again at the end of the Bhagavad Gita in 1866. Sarva Dharman Parityaja. I mean, the number is not written here, but it's 1866. This is one of the most popular, well-memorized verses. So in that is considered the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. The conclusion point of the Bhagavad Gita is given in several places in different flavors. And in this one, it's given directly. So this same point is repeated in slightly different wordings, that you just give up all these different dharmas that you have assigned for yourself, and you completely surrender your consciousness to me, then I will deliver you. Don't worry. So he says, why don't worry? Don't worry that you will get some sin for giving up your different duties. You see, Mashucha. So again, the same point over here is don't worry. So that's the point. And then this is a preamble, or to prepare our consciousness for 12.8, which is how exactly to do it. And that is just fix your mind upon me, Supreme Personality of Godhead, engage all your intelligence in me. Mayyeva manadashtva, mayi buddhim niveshaya, ivashyasti mayyeva atabhuttam samshaya. So that is the point.
So when trying to achieve this perfection in life and being detached from all the material aspects of life and all the corresponding elements, how would you differentiate the perception of being detached versus just being detached with everything? Because many people have that, okay, we are detached from things, but that could be just a mere perception of their own thought process.
Yeah. That is why Krishna gives those symptoms. Arjuna asked in the previous chapter that how do you know a person is just thinking in his mind, but is actually, and Krishna says, no, his behavior will reflect it in this way. He will not feel insulted. You can just see it on someone's face that they're shaken or not. He said, so you can test yourself how badly shaken I am when someone insulted me, You see, so these are different. That's why in the same chapter, Arjuna asks, what are the symptoms? I want to know, because some people may think they're already there. So you tell me the symptoms which they cannot fake. You see, I can say I love Krishna so much, I can even show tears and I'm dancing like crazy. But then, I also go home and do some ganja and this and that. So it's not proper behavior. So how do you know? Making a show of tears and this and that is not the real thing. The real qualities are this. Are they shaken by superficial things? Are they attached? You see? So these are symptoms that we can find. Another one is avyartha kalatvam. Are they wasting any time? Those who are devotees of the Lord do not waste any time. They're always engaged in doing something for the Lord. So that's a very easy way to see. You see? Person is always engaged thinking of how to serve the Lord better, how to engage others in serving the Lord. This is one of the qualities Krishna mentions. You can't fake that. If you look at a schedule of somebody and see that he's genuinely scheduled himself, fully booked, everything is for Krishna, you can understand this person is addicted to Krishna. That's how you gauge it. You don't gauge by other superficial things that can be faked. So that's why Krishna gives these different qualities. And that's how we can measure our own self also. How much time am I wasting? How much of my energy am I wasting? Maybe I should do a little bit more, a little bit more. How much bliss am I feeling when I'm doing Krishna? Why am I not feeling the bliss? What did I do wrong? You should evaluate always. Ultimately, our goal is to keep doing self-evaluation. Evaluating others as, minimal value. But that's the point.
Interesting.
Thank you, Minash Prabhu. Before we go to more questions, I would like to request the devotees who have memorized, or even if not memorized, to recite this verse. It'll help us memorize it if you recite it. So please go ahead, one by one.
Okay, I'll start. Maya eva mana adhishtava maya buddhinam nivasyasi maya eva ato urdhavam na samasya.
Haribo. Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to call on people. Okay.
I'll try, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Mai eva mana adatsva mai buddhim nivasasya mai eva ata udharvam na samasya. Samsaya.
Samshaya. Thank you.
Samsaya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mai eva mana
Twa
adatvasva mai
maya
buddhim
buddhisam niveshya
niveshaya
niva
niva ishyasi
si
maya
maya
eva
eva
ata
ata
urdhavam na sanshaya.
sansaya.
Haribo.
Oh,
I'll go.
I think it's different.
Sanjay is going. Should I
Yes,
say?
please go ahead.
Okay, wait.
Mai buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayeva ata urdhvam na sanshaya.
Haribo. Good job.
Prabhu, actually, I thought it's chapter 12, verse 10. So me and Sanjay memorized the verse 10.
Recite it. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's good.
So we're going. Okay, avyasi pyasa martosi mat karma paramo baba mad artam ati karmani kurvan siddhi abhyasi.
Haribo. Yeah. Very good.
Good job, Sanjay.
There is never a loss in memorizing because all Gita verses are very powerful and potent. So it's good.
Should I go, Prabhu, now?
Yes, please.
Maye mamana adasva mai buddhim nivesaya. I'm on mute, right, Prabhu?
No, keep going. I can hear you.
Okay. I'm starting from beginning. Maye mamana adasva mai buddhim nivesaya nivasyasi mayeva atapurdvam na samsayah.
Oh, good job. Good job.
It's really dirty.
All right.
So it's chapter 8.
Okay.
Arjun wants to recite, Prabhuji.
Yes, please go ahead, Arjun.
Mayeva mana advesva maye buddhim niveshaya nivasyasi mayeva ata udvam na samshayah.
Good job. Nice, Arjun. Okay.
So my Eva Mana.
Okay, very good. So basically the message of that verse is the Krishna is saying, is the highest. What is the highest? You fix your mind upon me. Mai You see this, the word Mai comes so many times. It means me, the word me. Mai eva mana adashtva. You fix your mind, mana, adas, on me, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage.
Look at this.
Thus you will always live in me without a doubt. Asamshaya. Samshaya means doubt, and na samshaya means no doubt. No doubt. No doubt you live with me, in me. So this is a very important verse, the highest. Okay, so I'm glad we all recited it, and some of you memorized it. It's good to recite these over and over again. Okay, so we can discuss one more question. I think Padma Mataji, and then we can have Kirtan after that. Go ahead, Padma Mataji.
Good evening, Prabhuji. We've always grown with these God stories, and we watch a lot of stuff right from the beginning. But still, I was of the opinion that okay, in this Kali Yuga, if we don't torture anybody else, if we are not causing trouble to anybody else, that's still godly. That's still good. But I feel like there's nowhere that it's a very small aspect of it. In order to take these steps and reach the highest level, probably are we going to be needing a lot of lifetimes and things like that. So is that something that how like each one of these qualities, number one, to understand it, and then to practice it, it's going to take a long time, right? I mean, is it easy, is my question.
So that's a question you have to ask yourself. Is it easy for me to chant Hare Krishna? Is it easy for me to eat prasadam? Actually, that's pretty easy for me.
Yeah.
Is it easy for me to discuss interesting Bhagavad Gita concepts with my friends on Tuesdays and Thursdays? It's not that hard. Is it easy for me to sing along when there's kirtan going on? That's also pretty easy. So basically, it's pretty easy. That's all there is to it. Now, what is difficult is to raise the intensity of it so that it actually does something tangible. So raising the intensity of it, because you can do it in baby steps, that's also easy. For example, chanting japa. From first day to chant 2 hours of japa, 16 rounds, may not be easy for most people. So you start that first month, I will do 2 rounds a day and chant very nicely. And then second month, I'll make it 4 rounds, like that, very gradual. You can find your own pace, you see. So that is easy. Do it all together in one day, may not be easy. Some people do it. Some people start one day, say first day only, they do 16 rounds a day. And for them, it's easy. So it all depends. So is it easy is a question for you to ask yourself. But we should know what is the goal. The goal means I want to reach this level of minimum intensity of engagement. At least I must be able to find some way to read half an hour intensely and to chant 2 hours Hare Krishna deeply. And then, of course, we also have to work on purifying our lives. Purifying our lives means our lifestyle. There are certain sinful things that we avoid. Intoxication, meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, those kind of things we have to avoid. So then if we are addicted to any of those, then we give them up either gradually or give them up suddenly, doesn't matter. Some people can do it more easily than others. So we have to purify our lives, and we want to intensify our consciousness of Krishna. That's all. So how easy it is depends on you and depends on how you want to pace yourself. But intensity is required. You'll need some minimum intensity to make tangible progress.
Okay. I was hoping there is some secretive, easy way to do it, because there are a lot of I was very surprised when, when a couple of meetings that I attended in the Zoom call, where most of the attendees were actually the foreigners or the, outside Indian, non-Indian folks. For me, it is beyond my understanding. How do they understand these complex concepts? We've grown with it. We were born in this culture, but it is still so hard for us to, grasp many of these stuff. How are they doing it so easily? And they have even become initiated or like the devotees. So
Some of them it's even easier than us because they don't have to undo some of the misconceptions we come with. We bring
possibly.
so many Hindu misconceptions that to undo them takes another 2-3 years. Oh my God, really? It is like that? All my life I thought it's like this. So that's another problem. It's like going to learn piano. Better to learn from scratch from a teacher. Sometimes it's better. Otherwise, you try with the teacher only too much. I know some teacher will say, okay, Krishna is God. What do you mean Krishna is God? I have another God. I have another God. We've come with so many difficulties ourselves. It's better to not come from Indian background.
Anybody want some? I'll actually have a bowl. Yeah, the macaroni or the one you made?
All right. So good question. Thank you very much. So we can now have a little bit of kirtan, if that's okay. And then we can call it a day. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol. So thank you all very much for joining again, and we will see you next time. So please read chapter number 13 for the next time, Tuesday, and we will see you then. All right, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai Shri
Bol, Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.